Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life. A Professor Sunrise Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. In today's class, we're finally taking a look at a replay analysis of me playing Bystial Dragon Control versus Kashtira. I finally had a very cool match against Kashtira with a lot of room to improve, especially in that game 3, but we will go over that later. So without further ado, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave some feedback down below, catch me streaming on the link down in the description below, and let's get right into the video. So here we are in the replay, we're up against AMP, and we are actually winning the Dyra, which is one of the first most important aspects I wanted to talk about in this replay, is that if you win the Dyra into this matchup, the likelihood of you winning the match is so much higher, just because of the amount of books we play, overall how the deck interacts into playing into our board, because spot removal is just so goddamn strong, and their most important line is usually to, if they summon the unicorn, they basically have to go into battle phase force to heal, otherwise they cannot use the Theosis. So the likelihood of you surviving the turn is insane, and you all know once we survive the turn, we basically win no matter what. We start with the Valor, Wyver Burster, Regain, and Chaos Base, and they are on Preparations, Unicorn, Eclipse, Prosperity, and Impermanence. Important aspect here, I decided to pitch Chaos Space, use the Black Metal Dragon, because Black Metal Dragon is just a one-card seal, and we already have that in Wyver Burster, plus the Regained to draw a shit ton of cards in the meantime, so I figured it was the safest play, and also this can search Rebellion is our only way into the Bystial package, so I really wanted to get into that, and that actually resolved, no draw, which is really good. So we used the Rebellion here. It was the little riskier run into a draw, because we could have used the black metal to just go into something. And now that I think about it, yeah, we should have probably maybe summoned the black metal, search the red as Darkness Metal Dragon, and if we get drolled, we can now just use the white dragon Wyver Burster. Yeah, that's definitely the correct play. Droll is super popular right now, and you have to play around Droll and at least get into a seal somehow, because if you use the Wyver Burster here, banish the Black Metal Dragon, we could have done nothing. But if we use the red eyes first, normal summon it, go into Dragon, search Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, get Droll on that, we summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, revive Black Metal, and just go into a seal. If we don't get rolled, we pitch the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon for the Chaos Badge, which is a legal target because the level restrictions only for the search target. Yeah, so definitely the first misplay I noticed in this replay. Good thing I uploaded it. Definitely would have been the correct play here, but we don't get rolled whatsoever. So Rebellion searches the Magnum, but pretty standard. And from here onward, it's just basic seal setup combos. We use the Wyver Burster here. We don't use the Regain here because we don't want to recycle the black metal, and we don't want to it just doesn't make sense. We have a banish later on, we can just do that. Now we use the Chaos Base for the White Dragon Wyver Burster, we recycle it, draw Book of Moon, insane pickup. We go into the seal, effect Cool Up certain, search the White Dragon again, and then we use Magnamut on the Cool Up. This is like the most efficient way of recycling, because we have the guaranteed Wyver Burster into Cool Up next turn again, and we don't have to do it. Usually you do it in your opponent's turn because you have the regain, but now that we have it, we can actually go for that, and it just makes the most sense. So the Cool Up gets recycled, and we draw Book of Eclipse, also insane. We tag out into Rebellion, effect Rebellion. I would probably imperm this one, honestly. Burning Piece is insane. I don't know why they didn't go for that. We set 2 and pass. Evenly here would be insane for the opponent, of course. But they luckily don't have it. They draw a Forbidden Lance, which is definitely not a bad card whatsoever. So they start out with an imperm on the seals. That is fine for us. This bounce is good, but it's not, again, especially against Kashtira, it basically does nothing because they can just keep summoning them. So they go for the Kashtira summon, Unicorn. We Book of Moon of it on summon. On side, they will just get booked no matter what. It pretty much doesn't matter the situation. The first Kashtira usually will always get booked. They chain their Forbidden Lands, and then we decide to use our Book of Eclipse to bounce that. Am I dumb? To book it, we have to book our Rebellion, of course, which doesn't matter because we have Branded Regain. We could have recycled summoned the Magnum here already, but we didn't have to. Because we have ways to get into a Magnum later on in the turn, and if we summoned the Magnum here, it would have actually wouldn't have gotten booked. That was my thought process, but because it would have been chain link 1, the Book of the Eclipse would have come off later. But because we already have ways to get our Magnamid going, we don't have to play into a talent, so that's also a plus. So they go for Prosperity here. I don't think there's anything which they can pick up, especially with the rest of the hand here. There's like no one card extender which extends with a body on board. So they go for a Rysart. And then they can normal summon that, I guess. I think that's what they do here. They normal summon it. Here we can now use the Regained to get the Magnamid, and then we decide not to use it to play around talents again. Yeah, because we still have the Seal, which we can just bounce freely in the end phase. So they set 2 and pass, and in end phase we use the Seal, bounce it for free, summon a Magnamid, effect Magnamid. And then we use Jerusalem as well to get another draw going, which is always a nice thing. You always want to maximize the amount of cards you have and always use all of your hard ones per turns every turn. We recycle a Magnamid here, just so because we just want to have those in the deck, of course. We play a very little amount of Bystial, so it's always important to keep them in the deck. We draw a Sacred, which is insane. They draw one of Unicorn, another Rysart. It doesn't really do anything. Like Fenrir would have been a little annoying here, but it's not the end of the world. And then they pass, we draw Fallen of Albaz, and from here on, it's basically game. We use the Branded Beast on the Drewsworm, set pop 1, and they pass. I was thinking that's definitely talents there because I played around it and they didn't show it. Hindsight, it just makes sense to just scoop there anyways. But I was so sure, yeah, I played around that talents perfectly. And not that the talents would have done a lot after the Prosperity anyways, but it is just something I figured. Game 2, they have Ash, Unicorn, Judgment Shifter, and Scareclaw. We have Book of Moon, Chaos Emperor, Beldrake, Rebellion, and Chaos Base. Spoiler alert, we're not going to play this game. They have 1 card combo plus Judgment plus Ash plus Shifter and an Extender. There's nothing you can do in this deck, in this matchup here. Honestly, no deck would win against this. If they side and Shifter, it's usually a very good card. And then if they have Shifter plus Judgment plus Unicorn, it is game. They use the Unicorn for the Theosis. Effect Theosis, summon Fenrir. This is the pretty bread and butter basic combo. I think we can just fast forward through this one. There's nothing really you can do. We cannot usually beat a uncontested Unicorn. After that's an uncontested Unicorn and an uncontested Shifter, and that's just it. We just pass here on the Diabolos before we get hit. I missed something that they declared it, but that's just nothing. I would have just scooped to the... If I saw they declaring, I would have just scooped not to show any of our extra deck. Game 3. We have Vader, Book of Eclipse, Rebellion, Black Metal Dragon, and Sacred. This is a little annoying. I tried to minimize this by cutting Black Metal to 2, but of course this still would just sometimes happens. They have Theosis, Rysart, Unicorn, Rysart, and Planet. The third Unicorn hard draw in a row. That's pretty lucky for them. So we use the Rebellion, and we actually normal summon the Black Metal here. Reason for that is that a Sacred is also very strong in the grind game, but in theory we can always just go for the Sacred here as well of the summon of the Red As Darkness Metal Dragon. We do summon a Black Metal though, and we do a pretty basic endboard, which is very scary in Game 3 to do, just because there are just so many blowout cards in Game 3. But we go into a Seal of the Black Metal, and then use Magnamid, banish the Black Metal, and go into a Rebellion. Effect Rebellion, go for a Branded Beast, and we set a Book of Eclipse and pass. So this is like not an auto win board, but it is definitely still very strong. We search the Drewsworm, and then we pass. And they draw Birth, so they have all Engine, which is actually not that bad against this deck, because we do have a lot of removal on the board. So it just sometimes happens where we kind of make them... make all of the Kashtira monsters extenders, because if you don't have a book here, you kind of want to pop this Unicorn, for example. You don't really do, you just wait for the Theosis. But it just feels so awkward then, where you pop it and then you just make the whole board clear, and then they can just summon their Fenrir or their second Unicorn or something like that, which is always very annoying. So we Book of Eclipse that, they go for the Kashtira Rysart. We use Seal to bounce it. I figured it being the normal is, while they can still get the Rysart on board with something like Birth, they cannot normal summon the Fenrir anymore, so I felt this was a very decent play on my part. We use the Magnamid, the Seal here to summon a Magnamid, and then get Magnamid follow-up, which is going to be very important. We're going to talk about that later. So now they go for Pressure Planet. They will be getting a Kashtira Scareclaw, and now they can use Kashtira Scareclaw to banish probably one of the Rysarts, out of the hand, summon it. Then they will, let's see, they will go for another Rise Heart in hand, summon it out of the hand. Here we go for Drew's Worm. I figured they're just popping 2 there was the correct play. If they have a Birth in hand, I figured they couldn't go for a lot anyways. But they had exactly Birth and Theosis, which I didn't anticipate it. But I think if we play around that, if they go for any rank 7, no rank 7 really pressures us here anyways, immediately, but we would have had to use it anyways, right? So they couldn't go into the Dark Arms Dragon, and then we have to pop it, or like we could have, nah. I think it's the correct play here, because if they, rank 7 would force out something here of us, so might as well do it now if they want to go for like a different approach. And then if they have exactly Birth, which does not enough on its own, but if they have Birth Theosis, I guess that's how much they have. We could have made them, I think in hindsight, you could have made them use the Kashtira Rise out there, so that they don't have it after they revive off Burst, so that's a play. But then again, I didn't expect them to have exactly Birth plus Theosis to play anyways, and I didn't want to give them any Ephemerate into their Banish pile so that they can revive that off Birth. So I think that's also still the correct play. So now they use the Kashtira Rise Heart here, Banish an Ogre. Might want to Valor that, honestly, I didn't. It seems a little risky now that Theosis comes down. Valor is too late there. Yeah, definitely we should have Valored that, because that takes off any chance of them having an actual play there, no matter what they draw, just because they don't have 2 ways to get another level 7 on the board. I should say 2 level 7s, unless they play Kashtira T elements off the Fenrir, I guess. Let's play around, yeah, I don't know. We keep the Valor here for even that, just so that we can Valor the Unicorn, I guess. No, we want to Valor the rank 7 here, just because it does put on a lot of pressure. But definitely should have Valored the Rise out here, the second misplay I noticed in this replay. And then we will only get to the parts where the huge misplays happen. I figured I played this for decently here, but I did some misplays there. So they go Battle Phase, just run over the Magnum. And I don't know why this card is allowed to attack and then use its effect. It's so dumb. They want to get rid of our Branded Beast here. We have to Valor, because Branded Beast will force out a lot of stuff on later, and they just go for Zeus and pass. They get a draw off the Unicorn, they draw a Shifter, a little late buddy there, and we search an Albaz because we get greedy. Definitely the 100% worst play ever. We should have gone for a Chaos Emperor Dragon, like how I always go for. It just makes the most sense. I don't know why I went for Albaz. This makes this unnecessarily difficult to win. We draw Driver even, which is ass. Then we go for Summon of Rebellion, or we use Branded Beast immediately on the Zeus, and they just let it resolve because they have just so much on their board as well, which is definitely a read you could have made in the opponent's end phase, and then just go for the Chaos Emperor. Maybe they would have gone for a different approach, but honestly, them removing the whole board, I would have been so fine with that, and just having to deal with a Unicorn is definitely doable with just Seyfried, Chaos Emperor, and a Rebellion and Graveyard. Like, there's just so many lines for OTK there, probably because we still have both of the mini dragons. If you would have taken a look into the banish pile, you would have seen that we only had one of the mini dragons there. But still, we would have had so much of a better time than just searching the Albaz, because the read there for the opponent not doing it in the standby phase is insane, especially if we add an Albaz. They will never use Zeus in the standby phase, because it just makes it free for them. So it is definitely a very weird pickup, but it's hard to evaluate it, because if we not added it, maybe they would have Branded Beast, getting rid of the Branded Beast in the standby phase, and this being on the board is huge for the grind game, because it basically makes you guaranteed to win those. So we use Seyfried, pitch the Albus to at least get some value out of it. Now they are allowed to Unicorn here, and they get rid of the second seal, which is A-okay. We link off into a Striker Dragon. We use Seyfried here to go into Rebellion. Effect Rebellion, add a Magnum. The second misplay will quickly come up here, because you have to remember that Kashtira Birth also happens on card spell effects, which is something which I always not remember. This is a very important aspect. Your graveyard is basically the most important resource you have in this deck. There's like all of the power cards are there, especially for cards like Regained. So you have to respect that, and because we don't really have a lot to force here anyways, because we don't have the Chaos Emperor, we don't have the 2 Chaos Dragons to extend heavily. We do have a Dark Line in the opponent's graveyard there, but honestly it is not enough just because we are missing that one baby dragon. We should have just gone into battle phase here and run over the Unicorn, that way the Kashtira Birth cannot trigger. which we don't do here because we will get our spell here with the Rebellion. And now here we go Battle Phase. It's definitely the correct play if we play it out like that. If we had the Chaos Emperor, we could have done it differently and maybe gone for an OTK. So now we use the Regain to recycle the Seal, which is okay, I guess, but the problem is that we now get hard punished by the Kashtira Birth, making the Regained actually dead, because we have exactly 3 Bystials in the graveyard, and we cannot use them anymore, because they will all get banished face down, which is a huge downside for us. I was thinking I might lose this, but I remembered that they only had 1 Unicorn in their hand, so the likelihood for them to have a play there is not as huge, and we still have Branded Beast plus Rebellion. We just have to get rid of that Kashtira Burst. So now we go into battle phase, so we could have just done it before that anyways. And then have 1.8k less damage. Who cares? So we go for some attack here, blah blah blah. And then in main 2 we have multiples of lines. We can go for a Dark into Unicorn line. We could have gone for a Seal, but the problem is with Seal, we just don't have enough because we need to use our pop on the Unicorn next turn, so we cannot use our Branded Beast to out this Kashtira Birth anymore, and we have to out the Birth because they have everything set up in their graveyard or on the banish pile. So we just go into the Unicorn, effect Unicorn, pitch the Driver. We don't really care about that, get rid of the Burst, and we have one answer for the one known play. We have a Regained, which we cannot use in the opponent's turn, but we do have that set up as well, and then we have Safeguard for follow-up, which can at least get something off the Rebellion. So we're not dead, and we have the Chaos Emperor for the Magnemite Surge. So we do have a lot of plays, but we just have to survive and hope that they cannot play through one disruption. They draw an Imperm, that means they cannot play through a disruption. If summon Unicorn, we Branded Beast that on side, pop it, and they set 1 and they pass. This basically makes me know that I will have game here. With a Unicorn on board, it's so easy to go into an access code. We draw Judgment, of course. It doesn't really do a lot. We go for Safeguard, normal summon effect, access code. Target the Unicorn. They will probably use the Imperm on Res here. We use the Chaos Emperor to get a Magnemite, probably Magnemite. Get the Magnemite, yeah, and the opponent admits defeat here. So I was a little lucky that they whiffed their top deck here. There would have been a good amount of top decks there. Then again, they had a lot of their engine out in game 1 already, just because they basically hard drew all of their engine. But hope you guys enjoyed this replay analysis. Definitely a lot of misplays here and there, but this is also very important for you guys to see. I figured I played this, apart from the last turn where I searched an Albus, I figured I played this pretty good, but then I still found 2 misplays there. So it's always important to go over your replays if you have the time and if you have the energy to do so, and if you want to get better at the game, definitely do that. You will notice a lot of misplays, and definitely should have played that turn 3 out better. There was a similar situation on the Giant OTS, the case tournament I went to last weekend, which in hindsight noticed just after this game, I noticed I definitely could have won that one. And those are very important to keep in mind. Very, very rarely is there ever a game where you couldn't have done nothing differently. The most of the time, if you lose, you will definitely do a misplays, and you have to figure out those misplays to get better at the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this replay. Class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.